that kind of answers a little bit my next question of who can do the self-assessment. Do you need an assessor? But do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, it does kind of answer that.
Yeah.
So once again, the who,
yeah.
like I said, anybody from the company could do it, provided they have training, an understanding of the requirements. They would need a little bit of technical background in order to understand how we're going to implement maybe a group policy, or how do I configure a firewall, or a number of things that are more technical involvement there. Also, they want to know a little bit about the organization, because there are organizational controls, i.e. policies. So they need to help craft those policies. So somebody that's well-rounded within the company, they understand the company dynamics, they understand the requirements, they have a little bit of information about the technologies. So while anybody in the company could do that, sometimes it's hard to find somebody with that kind of background. And that's why a lot of times people enlist consultants to give them a hand, because they specialize in that.
Hey, Rick, can I just jump in and
Sure.
add one bit of flavor to that? And I guess a little bit of a warning. And Rick, you shouldn't take Rick's advice about training lightly, because let's presume that you want to get after your self-assessment. You want to jump on it. You'd really like to see where you stand with regard to CMMC or NIST compliance. And so you kind of jump right into it. You kind of push your way through quickly. And then you determine, oh, we have something in place for that, so we must be fine. Or this we don't have in place, we're going to have to do some work. Or in this one we don't have in place, we're going to have to spend some money. And so you can envision that you're going to conclude certain actions that need to be taken, or non-actions that you're going to take, based on your presumption that you understand the requirement and that you understand how the company may or may not be implementing it. What you don't want to do is fool yourself at that point. You don't want to conclude the wrong thing, because you could end up skipping over something that really needs to be addressed. You could end up spending money on things that maybe you don't need to go down that path of spending a lot of money. And the root of it, if you think of it from a quality perspective, we're quality consultants, so we think that way. You go to the root cause, and the root cause was misunderstanding of the requirement. And we're trying to forewarn you that it could be very expensive if you go down this path quickly. You just take a light approach to it, and then the real assessment occurs. It could really cause some difficulty. And by the way, you may end up paying for a second assessment. So it's time. It really is important to do it right and get the help if you need it.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned before about the real assessment, and that can be expensive, and wanting to prepare really well for it. Could you give us some examples on what you mean by that?
Well, yeah, there is that self-assessment where you want to do an adequate job in going through and evaluating the controls and what your status is, because there is always that possibility that the DoD will conduct a medium or high-level assessment on your company. Therefore, when they come in, depending whether it's a medium or high-level assessment, they're going to be looking for artifacts. They're not going to be looking at words on a piece of paper. So they want you to show and verify that you're meeting this particular control. And so it goes into a little bit more detail. So that's why you want to do due diligence. You don't want to falsify any of the information, and because that will lead you into another whole issue with the DoD that you don't want to go to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Maddie, an example of that, just to drill in, is that requirement on training that said, you have to get training in place. And if you quickly just say, we have training, we do phishing training, or we do how to use your computer training, or other kinds of training. Well, yeah, we're fine. We have training. But if you don't look at, as I mentioned earlier, the verbs in the sentence of those objectives that we pointed out earlier, you would not be prepared to show, have you defined the roles and responsibilities of employees with regard to cybersecurity? Have you designated what training they need? Where can I see the training plan? Whose name is assigned to what? And then do we have records of what training has been delivered? It's not that, oh, we had everybody in the conference room and we had a meeting and everyone was there, therefore we were fine. Well, no, do you have records of that? And what was the outcome of that? So that's just one simple example where you could quickly go through it and convince yourself you're good, and then find out later that you don't have near the amount of detail that you need. It's really important to go through it that way.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. This is part of a longer series on DFARS, NIST, and CMMC compliance produced by Core Business Solutions. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video with a thumbs up, and click the bell to get notified when we drop a new video. Also, we'd appreciate it if you would share this video with your colleagues who need to stay up to speed on DFARS, NIST, and CMMC. Thank you, and we'll see you again in the next video.